live and it just cut me off and ended. That's the first time it's ever done that. So just gonna repeat everything I just did. Let's see, these are pictures of the temple, Buddhist temple in, I guess, San Jose or Watsonville. I think San Jose. Yeah. Went to the Obon festival there. Relates to this cosmology that I've been studying of the Buddhist afterlife. John Adams. Odyssey. Odyssey is like a Book of the Dead religious book. Explains the contours of the cosmos. See, these are Mi'kmaq people that have similar hats to the Scythians, so there might have been an ancient connection. Probably was. And so let's see. This art arc, ethnical Aboriginal art. This painting is by Heather Watson and shares a rock hole. The Murray Bore is a rock hole that has water year-round, found just off the Jinjinjara Road in Western Australia, close to Urunchu. This was the home of many old people. The Young, Brown, Roberts, and Woods families all live here. And make sure I'm not forgetting too much over here. Found like a owl feather on the ground. And oh yeah, here's where Crazy Horse talks about the tree of life and the great circle, universal concepts of cosmology. And so Jikoku wa Ichijo, hell is inevitable. Meaning hell is inevitable, is a profound and famously debated statement from the Tanisho, lamenting of heresies, a core sacred text of Jodo Shinshu. Hey guys, a core sacred text of Jodo Shinshu, true Pure Land Buddhism, compiled by Shinran's disciple Yuan. So, and they have different like explanations for what it means, but I think it's kind of misleading. They say it just means to be humble and that you can only be saved by worshiping Amida Buddha and he can save you. But I think it also means that hell itself really is the Pure Land. One vessel concept. See, Jigoku wa Ichijo. So this was famously said by there's a religion of the biggest sect in Japan. But Ichijo also means kind of the opposite. It means vessel. The one vessel concept is a core element. Let's see. Wa Ichijo most commonly refers to Ichijo, a Japanese word meaning one road or first road. It is a popular philosophy family name and the name of a prominent. One line, a streak, one article, one or first road. So Jikoku is certainly the first road of the cosmology, the Japanese Buddhist cosmology of the true Pure Land. The Japanese Buddhist phrase for one vehicle is Ichijo, which translates the Sanskrit concept of Ikeyana. Different spiritual paths ultimately lead to the exact same destination, Buddhahood. Here's a breakdown of the phrase in its primary context. Ichijo translates literally to single vehicle or one path. It refers to the Buddha vehicle, Buddhayana, beings to enlightenment. The the Lotus Sutra. This concept is a central message of the Lotus Sutra, which teaches that the previously mentioned three vehicles, the paths of the disciple, the solitary Buddha, and the Bodhisattva, are merely skillful, expedient means used by the Buddha to guide beings. In this view, instead of multiple final destinations, there is only one true path available to all. In Buddhist doctrine, the statement is a radical confession of human perfection. Shinran meant that because human beings are constantly driven by worldly desires, anger, and attachments, their natural karmic destination is the hell realm. Rather than a literal threat of damnation, it serves as an acknowledgement that no one can achieve salvation through their own willpower or moral perfection. By accepting that hell is inevitable for oneself, the believer relies entirely on Tariki, the other power, or saving grace of Amida Buddha, to achieve enlightenment. You may have received the one vehicle explanation because the Japanese word ichijo translates to one vehicle, Ikeyana, a core Mahayana concept that all beings will eventually attain Buddhahood. However, in the specific context of the phrase Jikoku wa Ichijo, Ichijo uses different kanji and functions as an adverb or adjective meaning certain, fixed, or inevitable. But they constantly are using like words that sound like other words to imply those other words in Japanese Buddhism, even to this day. So that would be a normal thing to have a double word to give the esoteric truth. So yeah, maybe I guess I didn't post the place where they actually explain that that there's a good chance I'm correct that it is a play on words. Shitigarba. Jikoku Soku Sukavadi. The hell recognized as hell itself. I mean, the real reason is because paradise is the same place as hell. America is hell, it's the torture land and paradise. And it's all the magical realms, really, because it's best to put magic or, the mythic realms on the opposite hemisphere so that, they don't interfere with reality. The Kshitigarbha Bodhisattva Sutra, the Earth Store Sutra, this East Asian Buddhist scripture focuses entirely on Kshitigarbha, the Bodhisattva who vowed never to achieve Buddhahood until all hell realms are emptied. Kshitigarbha does not pull souls out of hell to send them somewhere else. Rather, his presence transforms the environment of Naraka itself. In this sutra, when Kshitigarbha enters the deepest hells, the lakes of fire turn into cool lotus ponds, and the instruments of torture turn into jeweled trees. This is a scriptural depiction of Naraka physically transforming into Sukhavati, basically the torture hell turning into the pure land of eternal bliss. Through the power of a cosmic savior linking the underworld to the beautiful land of the West, because their pure land is called the Western Pure Land. So yeah, I think this is the real reason for the play on words of Jikoku wa Ichijo. The land of the dead that is portrayed. Let's see. This Mahayana text is famous for dismantling the dualism between pure and impure worlds. The concept in chapter 1, the disciples ask the Buddha why his world, our earth, full of suffering and hellish realms, is so ugly and defiled, while other Buddhas have beautiful pure lands. The Buddha presses his toe to the earth, and instantly the world transforms into a realm of boundless jewels and light. The Buddha explains that the world is always a pure land. It only appears as a defiled underworld because of the corrupted minds of its inhabitants. This implies that Naraka and Sukhavati occupy this exact same spatial reality. So it's just different ways to map out the same land. Like Naraka maps it out with all the islands and peninsulas being like demons torturing ghosts or whatever, and then Sukhavati maps it out as a bunch of flowers and like trees and stuff. In mystical Judaism, the underworld, Sheol or Gehenna, is reevaluated through the lens of divine restoration. The Zohar suggests that the fires of Gehenna are not vengeful but purifying. The alignment. The underworld is actually the lower manifestation of the divine Sechina, the feminine presence of God. For the mystic, descending into the depths of the spiritual underworld is a necessary journey to gather the fallen sparks of divine light, reframing the dark realm as a sacred crucible of ultimate return to the divine. All right. And these are more Scythian hats. Ancient Greeks worshipped Homer's Odysseus as a semi-divine hero, not just a literary figure. Like, so archaeologists have uncovered the Odysseon, a monumental sanctuary dedicated to him in northern Ithaca, where locals and pilgrims left votive offerings, jewelry, and coins spanning from the 3rd century BCE to the 2nd century CE. The primary hub for Odysseus's veneration was the Agios Athanasios site on Ithaca, commonly known as the School of Homer. Excavations led by researchers from the University of Ioannina have provided conclusive epigraphic proof of this hero cult. So this is in the real, not the colloquial sense, but the real meaning of the word, just meaning any kind of religion, religious group and practice. Archaeologists discovered late Hellenistic roof tiles and pottery stamps explicitly marked with to Odysseus and of Odysseus. Over 34 clay votive objects, gold and bronze jewelry, and a miniature Greco-Roman bronze bust of the hero have been unearthed at the sanctuary site. Site yielded over 100 ancient coins minted by various city-states, proving that pilgrims traveled from across the ancient world to pay their respects. The worship of Odysseus extended far beyond his home island. Greek city-states across the Mediterranean deified legendary Homeric heroes to build local civic identity and connect myth to reality. So yeah, any story like that about going to the underworld is usually gonna have it's gonna be considered divine. Like Dante's Divine Comedy. A decree found in Magnesia, modern-day Turkey, dating back to 207 BC, makes formal reference to the sanctuary on Ithaca. And then they would have festivals in Odysseus's honor there. In ancient Greece, hero cults were characterized by chthonic, earthbound rituals because heroes were considered larger-than-life mortals who accomplished the impossible. Worshippers believed these figures had the power to intercede with the Olympian gods on behalf of Ancient Greece, hero cults were characterized on behalf of mortals. People would pray and leave offerings seeking various blessings such as fertility, protection, health, and victory, linking Odysseus's heroic perseverance to their everyday lives. My life. So yeah, this is the Buddhist temple in Watsonville. Friend Stephanie. So this stuff is not all gold. I think it's like plastic or something. But it looks fancy. It's like that guy in front of me seemed like he was giving me a bad vibe, but maybe not. They were doing the dance of the dead. I'm going to like 4 Obon festivals this year. Teresa Baker with her epic painting, ethical Aboriginal art arc. I paint Minya Malilunya. This is the story of Malilu, a crippled woman and her 2 daughters who run away to get married, leaving her to look after herself. As Malilu performed Inma ceremony and walked across country to collect bush foods, she would drag her feet, leaving behind tracks in the sand. Teresa Baker, this beautiful painting is showing, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's basically, a story to memorize geography, landmarks that look like footprints, and also to remind, filial piety, or remind people to take care of their parents and not just ditch them if they need help. So yeah. It's a Nireka in Wixarika tradition, a sacred doorway to the divine, handcrafted strand by strand into beeswax by a shaman in the Sierra Madre Mountains of Mexico. No glue, no machine, no blah, blah, blah. Carry their visions. They have created these paintings for thousands of years to carry their visions, their cosmology, and their connection to the spiritual world. So I think these are maps, but I don't know exactly how to interpret them other than this is probably the sun, and these might all be the sun. I don't know. So this is like this panel of the Japanese 19th century Buddhist hellscape that is, really super far north Alaska. It's like Point Hope and then Krusenstern Lagoon. So one is these legs here. They're like in here, these things. 2 is this lady. She's here. This is her nose and this is her body. 3 is this guy. So this is his face, this is his chin, mouth, eyes, etc. And he's all like cut up from climbing up the sword tree to find his wife. But it's not really her. It's just an illusion, I think. 4 is the bird. It's like this island near Point Hope. And 5 is the Point Hope demon that's like fishing. He has like this fishing rod and line and whatever. So this is part of that. This is like in front of her nose, but they show it to the side of her head right there. This island. I mean, they don't really map out the top of it, but mostly the bottom of it. Pointy bed and like this pointy bed. Maybe some lakes in there. This painting, Marta Waran country. Uh, Vanetta says about her painting practice, I was inspired by old people from the past and the present who have been painting about country. The colors of the landscapes are something I would like to continue. I feel good when I'm painting. I've seen my paintings start to change with each canvas. And painting is a way of showing others what I see through my eyes. These paintings come from my travels out on country with tribal elders. The elders would share stories about life in the bush and talk about family connections. Vanetta Yanawana. And let's see. This incredible painting is by Marinka Burton and Betty Muffler. It is included in the Gura Polka Epic Country, which is showing at the. So, yeah, that's another map, big map. This is from that same Japanese hellscape, just showing this arm. So probably this dark part is just a shallow area in here. And then the arm is like, this is like the elbow here. And then this is the forearm. And then this branch is like relates to this. Ivermectin, good stuff. Let's see, so this, yeah, is that again. And actually, it seems to include the hands right here. So I think the hand, it's intersected by this other leg, whereas the leg is actually not here. The leg is actually further afield, but I think this is just to signify that there's a break in the wrist between, you know, the hand and the arm. There's a break, so that's that. And yeah, this thing signifies this thing and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not sure. It looks like it kind of has fingers in here for that hand. This seems to potentially be a microcosm of America, like islands carved to resemble America, you know, South America, North America. Even seems like it might have the Amazon River here, the Marajo archipelago, like Marajo Island there. This might be the mouth of the Mississippi right here. So yeah. And it's near like other islands that look like they might also be microcosm of America in different states. With lower or higher sea level. So that whole. I think the map, the hellscape, also includes a part that relates to lagoon down here, which is no, it doesn't say. Aukulak Lagoon. They have ways to map out a whole bunch of stuff in like a little painting. So yeah, this is showing the arm again. This is some idiocy where like this person is trying to claim that the pharaohs look exactly like light-skinned modern Egyptians. But she accidentally included the original that is actually dark with her whitewashed version of Hatshepsut. It's fucking stupid. That's how dumb they are. Oh yeah, some idiot trying to protect the Atlantic. That's pure CIA propaganda. So yeah, here's this guy. So he's also Scotland. He's kind of the main character of the whole this whole scroll cosmology. So he starts out as Scotland's, and then he ends up going through the whole cosmos. So this is his chin, this is his mouth. His eyes are probably here, and then this thing under his eye is probably this. And then his hair, I don't know if it's land or water or what. But his two hands that are holding these branches, I think are all actually here. Like this is one hand holding this dark branch that comes out here. And then the other hand is this hand holding this other dark branch that comes out there. So that's kind of one of the more esoteric parts of this panel. So yeah, it's about like not just chasing after love and passion to your own destruction, climbing up sword trees. So this is the area that has the different maps, like it has this one, which is north up, and then these two that are south up. This one seems to be America basically now, but it's upside down here, or it's south up right here. And then this one would be America with the land bridge here, and then this being the Asian coast or the Siberian coast or whatnot. This is nearby there, so this might be an ancient carved canal. It's kind of the appearance of a dredged canal, and this might be another carved islands, like some two-headed thing that relates to something. This might be a head as well, like a nose and mouth and chin there. So yeah, this could relate to the two mountains of the underworld god or something. So yeah, this, in Jodo Shinshu, the biggest sect of Japanese Buddhism, the biggest Japanese sect, Higan means the other shore and means the afterlife, and is the holiday of the equinoxes. So every spring and fall is Higan, and they celebrate Higan, and they think about the afterlife and the ancestors and the other shore. So the other shore is the underworld. So, but they often seem to imply that it's the same place as the Pure Land, even though the underworld is basically torture land in their cosmology too. So anyway, I asked, in Jodo Shinshu is the Pure Land called Higan? Yes, in Jodo Shinshu, the Pure Land is frequently referred to as Higan. So as the other shore, that can only mean America, the other hemisphere, the underworld. And the fact that they refer to it as the Pure Land shows that hell is paradise in their cosmology, and likely in all cosmologies traditionally. Literal meaning Higan is a Japanese term translating to the other shore. It represents the realm of nirvana, ultimate enlightenment, and the pure land of Amida Buddha. The other shore, it is used as a metaphor to contrast the pure land with this current world of suffering, which is often called this shore, Shigan. Equinox services, you'll often hear the term Higan used during the spring and autumn equinoxes. Temples hold special services during these times and reflect on the teachings and our journey toward the Pure Land. they don't mention that that's the actual name of those holidays. Uh, no Obon and Ohigan are practiced across nearly all schools of Japanese Buddhism, not just Jodo Shinshu. They are found in nationwide cultural and religious holidays in Japan. However, because different Buddhist sects have entirely different theological views on salvation, enlightenment, and the afterlife, they approach with radically different practices. How other schools practice Obon versus Jodo Shinshu. In most Japanese Buddhist schools, such as Zen, Shingon, Tendai, and Nichiren, Obon is fundamentally a time to welcome back and appease the spirits of deceased ancestors who are believed to temporarily leave the spirit realm to visit the living world. Because Jodo Shinshu rejects the idea that spirits wander or need human help, its practices differ significantly from other sects. Spirit altars. Families build elaborate temples specifically. So this just shows that people make horses out of cucumbers and oxen out of eggplants so spirits can ride home quickly and leave slowly. So that's like the Halloween pumpkins or the Samhain turnips or whatever of Europe. So anyway, Ohigan is uniquely Japanese and tied directly to the alignment of the sun during the equinoxes. While all sects use this week to visit family grave sites, their spiritual focus is completely opposite. This beautiful painting is by Alice Michaels, located in a sheltered basin. The rock hole at Lapi Lapi is a permanent source of water and is surrounded by country rich in bush tucker. In the time of the Jakurpa dream time, many mothers with young children would gather there because it was a safe place to stay. So this shows the same mountains of like arriving and departing, separating the world and the underworld in Mesopotamian cosmology that is found in this Buddhist scroll and in Egyptian cosmology. So it shows they followed that same scheme. The first prominent Japanese Buddhist monk to openly marry was Shinron Shonin, the founder of Jodo Shinshu True Pure Land School. So that was in 1173. So he was kind of like the Protestant. He was like Martin Luther, but like 500 years before Martin Luther. Shinron's marriage to a Shini in the early 13th century, which resulted in 6 children, was a revolutionary act that broke centuries of monastic celibacy in Japan. His theological justification was that enlightenment is achieved through absolute faith in Amida Buddha rather than through strict monastic discipline or celibacy. While Shinron's radical move made his sect the first to adopt a non-celibate married clergy, the practice did not become widespread across all Japanese Buddhist traditions until the government legalized clerical marriage for all sects in 1868. So these are some hell scrolls, or this could be the Pure Lands depiction, depicting America or other places as the Pure Land. Sukhavati, this is like a hell. This looks like it's might be Cape Baldwin in the Chukchi Sea. And this one might be, actually I don't know what it is, but it looks cool. In Buddhist philosophy, this expression translates to hell is the land of tranquil light, using Jikoku for hell and Jaku for the highest Buddha land. signifies the place of extreme suffering, and a state of absolute enlightenment are fundamentally the same in nature. The concept is especially central to Nichiren Buddhism. Jigoku means hell, or a state of existence characterized by extreme torment, suffering, and anger. Soku, the oneness or immanence of two seemingly opposite things. It means they are not separate but different manifestations of the same reality. Jako, short for Jakodo, land of tranquil light, the pure eternal Buddha land of absolute peace and enlightenment. This phrase that means that no matter how deep your current suffering, anyway, blah, blah, blah. So weird. The most direct, explicit textual authority for this exact sentiment comes from Nichiren, the founder of Nichiren Buddhism. He frequently argued that the Pure Land of Eagle Peak, or the land of tranquil light, exists inside the practitioner's devotion, not in a faraway Western paradise. And the Eagle Peak is, I think, in India, actually. It's like this cave where the rock looks like an eagle's head. I think I showed it in earlier videos. But in his famous letter titled Hell is the Land of Tranquil Light, he explicitly writes, neither the Pure Land nor hell exists outside oneself. Both lie only within one's own heart. One who embraces the Lotus Sutra will realize that hell is itself the land of tranquil light. But they also are real places. It's just that the avatars used to map them are subjective. Because America really is like a awesome place and sometimes a scary place. My home is the Pure Land. As Saichi wrote in his poems, my home is the Pure Land, but it is right here in this world of suffering. There's King Tut, I think. Here's one of the, Oni, the Hell Wardens, which is in Nunavut. Or, yeah. Part of Nunavut Islands. This is an Australian Aboriginal map of this area as a crocodile or something. That's in Northern Australia. This is Kuprianov Peninsula, Alaska, as King Enma-O of the Buddhist cosmos. This is Baja, California, but it kind of looks like a long nose, and then this could be a mouth, and then there could be like eyes somewhere and a beard. And this is this person that's being weighed in the Japanese hell scroll. He's like sticking out his hand, and this is his head, and this is this thing that he's being weighed inside the scales. This is Kuprianov Peninsula, King Enma. This is, they're trying to promote facial recognition. They're trying to say it's cool, like tell young people it's cool. So they're promoting it a lot in the new Spider-Man movie, where they're like, oh yeah, Spider-Man, he needs the facial recognition software so he can get all the bad guys. And it's at the same time they're promoting this at the BART stations and whatnot. That's bullshit, but somebody else was pissed off too, so somebody like defaced it. They're like, isn't it cool how you could have no privacy? So yeah, this I think is the basis for the California bear. Could be wrong, but it matches very well. You know, this is basically Northern California from like Marin County up, you know, Marin, Sonoma, Mendocino. So yeah, matches the bear. And San Francisco is like right in front of the nose because the Golden Gate Bridge goes from the nose to the city. This is Richmond, where I sometimes am. This is the bear from this perspective, and it does look a bit like a sleeping brown bear. Marin County. I was taking the ferry to the Obon Festival in San Francisco, which was not that big compared to the San Jose one, at least. It was kind of comparable to the Watsonville one, but it could have been because there was a marathon that day in the city that like shut down the city, basically. This is their temple. There's this guy again. So yeah, I think that this is one of his hands holding like with this dark line coming out is one of these branches coming out. And then the other hand is this with this other dark line coming out being one of the other branches coming out. Not sure which hand is which. So yeah, this is that guy's foot. And then these are these maps of America potentially that are at basically the northwestern terminus of the continent, which is the same as the the Hercules map of Africa, which is in Morocco in the caves, whatever they're called, but they're also at the northwestern corner of the continent pretty much. So it could be like this was a tradition among mariners to make these geo maps at the northwest corner of every continent. Because yeah, here this is the Cave of Hercules in let's say Cape Spartal, but I think there's another name for like that area. But yeah, so it's like considered to be a map of Africa, like retrograde, like that. This is like, I mean, I think it's this way. I don't know. Somehow this is Africa. It's a face, obviously, but it's also considered to be a map of Africa with north up. So either this is West Africa and it's retrograde, or this is like the Horn of Africa or something. And it's probably considered to be Hercules, and Hercules, maybe his head is Africa or something. Or just land in general is like manifestations of him. So this one is, yeah, the map of Africa. So, this is definitely a more stylized map compared to the America maps that I'm referencing in Cruise Stern Lagoon. Warrior's bow and a musician's soul preserved. So yeah, it has some cosmological paintings. And this is where I live, like the most expensive place in the fucking country. And this was where I was like a week or two ago in Richmond. So Richmond is like these guys. These are like this guy's arms. His head is right there, and then these other heads are like here. This guy's Oakland. His horns are the rim of, the sides of Oakland Harbor. His mouth is Lake Merritt, and his arm is Alameda Islands. San Francisco's up here, but these guys are flipped retrograde, so I flipped the whole thing. So now that makes this part retrograde. And so yeah, I was realizing how detailed this is, because I was there and I was like trying to figure it all out. And not only includes these peninsulas here as the arms, and this is the head, and then this is like these other heads. But also all these lines are significant. So like, these lines are like rivers that come in, like all these dark lines are all these rivers that like intersect from the bay. And like this part right here is Point Pinole down here. And then this one is, I guess, like here. But yeah, there's just a bunch of these rivers that come through here and intersect. There's like this big one that has like a little bay right there. That might be this armpit or something. I don't know. So anyway, fleshing that out more. So this is Greenland. So this might represent the peak of Mount Meru, which is supposed to be the mountain that the cosmos is built around in Vedic cosmology. But because it seems that this may be considered, the top of it, the peak of it, where the upper northern sky gods dwell, that if they viewed it this way, it would look a bit like a top of a mountain. This was another possibility, or at least some significant cosmic thing. This is a very long island right above Russia. I think it's right north of Russia. I mean, it's probably part of Russia, but it's a very weird island. And then the other possibility was that top of Mount Meru is, northeast Siberia here. But I'm thinking it's Greenland's. So yeah, this is another panel of these hellscapes. I was thinking it could be that this guy is Newfoundland, and that this guy is like Nova Scotia, and that this is like the Gulf of St. Lawrence here somehow, but I don't really know. Could also be like the mouth of the Amazon or something like that. This is another one that I haven't deciphered, but it has this bird, so that reminded me of this bird avatar for New Orleans, Louisiana, but I have no idea if it is that or some other bay or inlet or whatnot, estuary. So I was watching the show Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like an anime, and it seemed to confirm that the main character like is half Yama, half Enma-O, which is the Japanese Buddhist name for Yama that I've been studying, that they seem to map as part of Caprino Peninsula in my hellscapes. But like a lot of anime's heroes are half demon, so they could all be based on the fact that Jizo is one of the, is like the most beloved bodhisattva of Japan, but he's also considered to be the friendly aspect of Yama Enma, who is like the god of hell. So here they actually broke apart because usually they're one guy, but here they actually broke apart and was actually able to talk to his demon half. And he's like, I don't even know your name. I've been called many things, says his demon half, through the ages. Pharaoh, Yu-Gi-Oh! I've been known as Yami. So that's probably a reference to Yama, which is the Vedic name of Enmo, of the god of hell. And then he always has like this red hair, and like that, the Oni are often portrayed with red hair, the demons of hell, and the starving spirits as well. Well, Yami, I'm proud to call you my friend. So anyway, that's probably the basis of that. Oh man, that's gnarly. This beautiful painting is by Kunmanara Williams. The Piltati Jakurpa belongs to the ranges in far northern South Australia. It tells of two women who set out hunting and gradually draw further and further away from home. They dig burrow after burrow, hoping to find small game. Their husbands follow them and transform into Wanampi water snakes to lie in wait for their wives in the water hole known as Piltati. When the women approach, they are startled by the snake men who leap up and swallow them whole. The four then become Wanampi together at Piltati. So it's a funny story to memorize geography. But like modern, white academics will like be like, it's a moral story. We need to find a moral lesson in here, or it's about psychology and no, it's about cosmology and a funny story to memorize it. Traveling Tracks on Country by Deirdre Burgoyne. Green, brown, and white. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, another map. So this is traditionally what humans do. They map out the earth and they honor it and study it. Gunagalaga Narna Warambul Dawunda Galida Wurumburul Guwagi Gawarge Dinawan Warambul Wurumbaya. Milky Way is in the sky country, and Milky Way is in the dreaming of the land. So it kind of sounds like it rhymes a bit, or some alliteration or something like that. So, but it shows that the sky is in the land, like all the constellations are also mapped as, mountains and rocks and stuff on the earth. As above, so below. Photo taken on the Great Kamilaroi country earlier this year. Milky Way is in the sky country, and Milky Way is in the dreaming of the land. They sometimes say like everything is first in the land and then the sky, or first in the sky and then the land, or something like that. Warrumbungle Crooked Mountain. The Warrumbungles are located in Kamilaroi near Coonabarabran. Just like all things, Warrumbungle has a sacred story and song. It's a beautiful place to go to look at the stars at night and hike during the day. It is associated with the gray eastern kangaroo, so probably it's shaped like a kangaroo. It has its own song, it has its own rituals, just like pretty much every part of the earth. And by all right, look at the sky. During this time of year, if you look at the southeast, you will begin to see the Dinawan, which means emu, in the Gamilaroi language of northwestern New South Wales, making her way into the southern night sky. Over the next few months, she will undergo some changes that tell us about what is happening on country. During the months of April and May, she will stick out her left leg, which tells us that it is emu mating season. I just have to take off my sweatshirt. All this talk of emu mating is getting me hot and sweaty, I guess. All right. Um, then she'll stick out her left leg. So this is similar to a lot of cosmology, like when Vishnu's leg is, he only has one leg, or, these type of like stories are often celestial and terrestrial. And let's see. So during the months of April and May, she will stick out her left leg, which tells us that it is emu mating season and that the female Dinawan is chasing the male Dinawan, and that soon it will be time to collect the eggs. So they can like survive by eating these eggs, watching the sky to see the, it's basically the dark rift of the Milky Way is the emu. So based on how it looks, they can tell what time of year and when to hunt the eggs. Progressing into the cooler months of June and July, after a generation period of around 8 weeks, the female will have laid the eggs, generally in or near stringy bark country where it is cool and moist, and it is then the male Dinawan's responsibility to incubate or sit on the eggs. Once the eggs hatch around the mid to late August, where we might start to see the fire regrowth emerging on gum country, the male takes the emu chicks out and teaches them about the lore of the land and where to find appropriate food, water, and shelter. During the springtime, nearing the end of the burning season, we will start to see Dinawan disappearing back into the southwest, where we say she goes to sit in the sacred water hole in the sky, or that she goes back to the underworld. As a result of her sitting in this water hole, the water, it is said, will rise up and overflow out over the sides. Where it then falls down from the sky and onto the country, giving it new life and vigor. So this is like how the Nile is seen to be the body of like Osiris or Isis that, overflows each year. This is the beginning of our wet season and signifies the return of the summer constellations and another part of the seasonal calendar. We learn from this cycle the processes of the Dinawan's mating season and the roles that we play in relation to the Dinawan on our sacred lands in regards to diet, nutrition, sustainability, fire, rites of passage, and more, as well as the roles and responsibilities we have in our own families and communities as strong fathers and mothers. Dinawan Nama, the emu is rising in the southern night sky. So here's the dark rift of the Milky Way, and so this is like the feet of it, and then this is the head, and then somehow the landscapes would tell our stories. So that's like traditional cosmology. Grandmothers carried the weight of massacres of colonial violence. Dinawan. So Dinawan means emu, their language. And another map. This is a zoomorphic map that looks like some kind of animal. Maybe it's the emu. Join Pete as he reads country. So this is what you do if you understand this type of thing. You can actually travel around and read the story off of the country. Join Pete as he reads country at the Pines Gilgandra, showing us what does and doesn't belong there and how cultural fire can make things right again. So, traditionally people would, do controlled burns so they wouldn't have all the big fires that we have nowadays. Fire of the buffalo, the meaning of the pipe. The Anishinaabe shared numerous aspects with the Dakota or Wanag roasters, as they are known in Anishinaabe. Both groups revered the bison, which provided them with songs, ceremonies, sacred items. The Ojibwe refer to the pipe as Opwagan, while the Dakota call it Chanunpa. Both nations believe that the Opwagan Chanunpa embodies two spirits that agreed to unite in this form, creating the pipe as we know it. These spirits are integral to and even responsible for the creation of Aki or Maka, the earth. So Ki is earth in Sumerian, which is interesting. One of the spirits that agreed to assist in forming the Opwagan Chanunpa was our grandfather Rock. This is the stone component of the pipe, sourced from the same area by both nations. The Ojibwe name for this spirit is Gimishim, both translating to grandfather stone. Another spirit that agreed to help is meaning bowman in the Ojibwe language, meaning tree in the Buan language. This is where the pipe stem is made from. It originates from the trees. So like all knowledge is formalized through this type of symbolism, which makes it much easier to memorize. This painting is by Aboriginal artist Joy Brown. Through her paintings, Joy shares the Yomari dreaming, a collection of rocks west of Kintor in the Gibson Desert. So every dreaming is a place. Yamari is the site of a forbidden love union between a Japaljari man and a Nangala woman. This dreaming was passed down to the artist by a Pintupi man. In contemporary Walpiri paintings, traditional iconography is used to represent the Chikurpa, associated sites, and other elements. So Chikurpa means the dreaming, the myth. Our Awelie women's ceremony for Outweller, Pencil Yam, and Anwaketi Conquerberry by Josie Kunoth Petiari. Josie has been working with our gallery since 2005. She paints Dreamtime stories passed down from her father's country, Al-Hakari, as well as colorful depictions of life at Utopia. Josie's mother, sisters, and aunties were all Utopia artists, and the years spent watching them provided inspiration to her. Like most members of her community, Josie speaks little English but is very enthusiastic about painting and sees it as a means of language and expression of her stories and culture. So I can't like buy these. They're like, $2,000, but I can just like study them when they post them online. But certainly is a cool looking one. So that's all like very detailed topography. See any symbolism of astrology and Dharma. It seems like in my Hell Scrolls that there's like a underwater land formation off the Marin coast in the Gulf of the Farallones that's like a circle, and they portray it as a whirlwind, but they also relate it to the Dharma wheel, so it may be seen as the earthly manifestation of whatever constellation is associated with the Dharma wheel, which they're saying is the Big Dipper. Homer on the Ethiopians. Only yesterday, Zeus went off to the ocean river to feast with the Ethiopians, hardy, lordly men, and all of the gods went with them. So that's like Ethiopians are Africans, and I think it might literally mean black people. No time for sitting now. No, I must return to the oceans running the Ethiopians' land. Ethiopians off at the farthest limits of mankind, a people split in two, one part where the sun god sets and part where the sun god rises. So I think my friend was interpreting that as meaning America and Africa. And, you know, because there certainly were black Africans in America before Columbus. But the other interpretation is that it refers to Africa and Melanesia, like Papua, Australia, as being the other black people that are at the sunrise, and then the Africans are at the sunset. So one or the other or both. Only yesterday, Zeus. The pawns always hate each other, while the ones playing chess are usually good friends. How do you know this is true? Because it says so in the book I wrote. That's Zawi Hawass, douchebag, head of antiquities in Egypt. I picketed him in Oakland. Celebrating Betty Chimney's powerful triptych painting, Ngai Yukugura, My Country. Indokana is my home. I grew up when there were no houses here, and we would stay at a lot of different places around here. Granite Downs, Iwancha Creek, Indokana Spring. My paintings show the rock hole that's over there at Iwancha Creek. We would camp there, and there is a soakage that we would drink the nice cold water from. I paint the water hole, the soakage, and all the roads, and then all the roads around the place. For a long time, I've been painting this way, painting all those different things, painting the story of this place, all the good stuff. Betty Chimney, 2025. Yeah. So that's, you know, her painting of her land. Oh yeah, this is hilarious. This is what I get on Facebook. You were made to swap time zones. Oakland to San Francisco. Like Oakland to San Francisco, they're like a half an hour drive. Like there's a bridge that goes, you know. So they say you're swapping time zones and you spend $203 instead of just crossing the bridge on BART or whatever. Like it costs, like, if you take the public transportation BART, I think it's like, you know, maybe $1 or $2 to just go from Oakland to SF. But here it's $203 and they think that's a different time zone somehow. And they say this is 75% less than typical. So typically it should be like $600 or something, 500. I don't know. I can't. But if that's normal, then fuck capitalism. And yeah, fuck capitalism anyway. Um, oh yeah, there's some masonry that's similar to like Puma Punku in Bolivia, or Tiwanaku or whatever it is, and Cusco. Imelda Gugaman and Dulce Nanala with their beautiful artworks. So I like it when they show it out on the actual country that it's of. So this, you can see the similar color, and you can just see that this is like topography. Oh yeah, Britain did not have like poor people couldn't vote in Britain until like the 40s or something. In Japan, was there ever a historic yokai card game like in Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh? Because like Pokemon, it's like one of the most profitable franchises in history, and it's around this card game of basically yokai, like spirits that are pocket monsters, pocket gods. And then Yu-Gi-Oh is the same thing. So I figured there must be like a real Japanese game that's based on. Yes, Japan had a historic monster collecting and matching card game during the Edo period, 1603 to 1868, called Obake Karuta, Ghost Monster Karuta. Karuta just means cards, or Yokai Karuta, meaning, spirit cards. How the historic game worked, the decks, the game. So I'm going to recreate this with my, avatars and stuff. The game used traditional Japanese karuta cards, splitting into matching pairs, reading cards, yomifuda, with clues or phrases, and picture cards, torifuda, illustrated with specific mythical creatures. The monsters. Decks featured famous folkloric entities like Kappa, Tengu, and Nurikabe, complete with names, visual definitions, and descriptive attributes. The playstyle. Color read a clue aloud, and players race to slap and grab the correct monster card from the floor, collecting the most cards to win. Gotta get them all. Connection to modern games. Categorization. Much like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh!, these Edo period cards popularized cataloging, naming, and marketing imaginary creatures as a form of entertainment. But the original ones probably gave actual knowledge to the people who understood it. The cultural legacy. This long-standing tradition of codifying folklore heavily influenced modern monster collecting, entertainment, and media. The gambling game. Hanefuda. Obake Karuta is an obsolete variation of Iroha Karuta unique to Tokyo. Cards were created in the Edo period and remained popular through the 1910s or 1920s. Each card in the deck features a hiragana syllable and a creature from Japanese mythology. In fact, Obaki Karuta means ghost cards or monster cards. Success requires knowledge of Japanese mythology and folklore. Players attempt to collect cards that match clues read by a referee. The player who accumulates the most cards by the end of the game wins. Obaki Karuta is an early example of the common Japanese fascination with classifying monsters and creating new ones. The game is one of the earliest attempts by Japanese companies to categorize legendary creatures, label them, define them, and subsequently market them. As such, it is a precursor to the Godzilla films of the 1950s and later even uh, even more closely. Obaki Karuta resembles the Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon trading card game, which also involves collecting cards that represent fabulous creatures. In fact, many Pokemon were designed specifically after creatures from Japanese mythology. So Hanafuda, I think that's Japanese cards in general. Or yeah. And so Nintendo started like make by things in the 1800s. Um, so yeah, so basically in that one, they match the spell to the card, to the avatar of the, spirit. So I'm gonna try and recreate it, but have uh, cards that are the avatars of the spirit, and then cards that show photos of the actual geography and topography. So people will be matching the avatar to the actual landmark, which probably be easier than the spell riddle version. Um, so let's see. So yeah, it'll be like all the geography photos of the satellite images will be, those cards will all be faced up in the middle of the circle. The players will be sitting around them. And then when the one of the avatar cards comes out, either somebody, somehow somebody pulls that out, and then people have to rush to touch the satellite card that matches and try to get them all. And see, Earth map of Great Japan, Dai Nihon Koku Jishin Nozu, published in 1624 and reissued in later versions like 1855. These antique woodblock maps of the Japanese islands are dramatically encircled by a massive mythical dragon biting its own tail to denote seismic and tsunami zones. So it just shows how these type of mythical maps